Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. This is Ask the Experts here on Talk Radio 1190. What do? Well, we interview local prominent professionals here in the beautiful Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex on their area of expertise, of course. I'm the host of the show, Matt Cather, and joining me on today's show, great to have him back in studio, Matt Burns of Ecoscape Foundation. Real quick, before we get to Matt, you can find him online at ecoscapefoundation.com. That's ecoscapefoundation.com. Phone number to reach out to the fine folks over there. You can give them a call at 972-210-1494. That's 972-210-1494. Matt, welcome back in. It's good to have you in studio.
Yes, sir. Been a while since we've been on.
Yeah, it has, and I tell you what, you picked a beautiful day to jump on with us today.
Oh, I can't ask for better weather right now. I can tell you my installation crews are so happy that the cold weather is gone. They are loving life right now.
Now, this is the perfect, in between, that spring weather where it's not too cold, not too hot, so it's got to be great for them.
Well, you're exactly correct. They're almost upset that they're having to work instead of being able to enjoy it more so with their time off. But we're thankful for the business, and I know that they're thankful to be working, and they're out there working hard. And it's a lot easier to do your job when you can manage it, and it's not 1,000 degrees outside. And what we've seen here recently, it's not icing over in North Texas.
Which is a blessing, we'll just say.
Yeah.
Now, since you just mentioned it's been a while since you've been on, it's great to have you back, like I said. But because of that, why don't we set the stage for the listeners out there? Since if they missed the last show, I hope they didn't. There's a lot of great information. But tell them what you guys are all about at Ecoscape Foundation Repair.
Well, we just celebrated our 27th birthday this last October. We are a North DFW foundation repair company. We specialize in slab foundations as well as pier and beams and mud jacking. So we're just really happy to be present in the North Texas area, and we're really grateful to be here on the show.
Well, it's great to have you here on the show, and I know we got a ton of information to get to, so let's kind of kick things off, get right to it. If somebody needed to get you guys for your services and reach out for you, whatever it might be, obviously you guys do a couple things. How much does this tend to cost? I know that's the main question a lot of people are going to ask because it can be a quite expensive thing. For some, it's obviously a case-by-case basis.
Well, answering this question is hard. At the same time, it is the number one question that we are always asked. Everybody's always concerned about money, especially right now with the price of everything going up. It's kind of like this, taking your car to the mechanic and saying, how much is it going to cost? Well, we have to figure out what's wrong first. So it could range anywhere between $1,500 to $50,000. And I know that's a really broad spectrum, but that's realistically the range of it. So some customers, if they intervene before it gets terrible, I would say on average they're around between $4,000 to $6,000. Kind of medium range is anywhere between $9,000 to $12,000. Anything over $15,000 in our world is kind of considered extreme. Mm-hmm. So we always like to intervene before it becomes terrible because it saves the homeowner money. And at this point in time, who's not about saving money? So once again, it's really hard to answer that question, but that's why we offer the free evaluations for all of our homeowners, is because you don't know what it costs. Well, neither do we till we are able to get into your home, diagnose the problem, and give you a down-to-the-dollar evaluation. We don't do bids. In our opinion, bids are for amateurs. You're trusting us to be professionals. Well, professionals know what things cost. That's why we call them evaluations.
Correct.
We don't have those surprises in the middle of the job where we go back to our customers and say, oh, by the way, I need an extra $2,000. That doesn't happen here. Why? Because we've done this enough and we're prominent enough in our marketplace to where we know what it's going to take to fix your problems the first time around.
Well, now that we established that, why don't we dive into exactly and break down the foundation repairs? And what I'm saying is, what are the different types of foundation repair that you guys tend to see that you work on?
Well, let's start with slabs. So slab usually is 1980s and newer. It's concrete based, which is a majority of homes in North Texas. So when we start to see people with foundation issues, I would say 9 times out of 10, it's drainage deficiencies. So standing water or people not having adequate gutters. But depending on the situation, a lot of people begin to notice it when doors begin to stick or they see a crack in the masonry work outside. We've even had some customers that say, hey, my carpet is beginning to ripple. Well, all those are signs. So once again, if you can be proactive about it and be invested for a couple of thousand versus 10,000 plus, you're really doing yourself a service by getting ahead of the curve, so to speak. Now, the other side is a pier and beam. So pier and beams tend to be a little bit older. They have pre-drilled piers from the day that they were built, and they're actually elevated off of the soil with a wood superstructure. Now, these are easier for us to work on, assuming that there's enough room underneath the superstructure to physically get in there, because all we do is we go under there and we lift up the superstructure, put a couple shims in, and essentially we're done. The problem is that these homes tend to be 30, 40 years old, if not older. So a lot of that wood that's on the superstructure is rotten and decayed. And if anybody's paying attention, the price of wood right now is in the stratosphere. So replacing one structural beam used to be relatively affordable. Now it's over $1,000 just because the price of lumber has gotten so high.
Now, you break that down for us, but I'm sure a lot of people, and you mentioned it a little bit, you referred to it. Is there signs that, and how do you know that you have a foundation problem?
Well, kind of touching back on the last question, sticking doors, masonry cracks, drywall cracks, that tends to be what most women see is the drywall cracks on the inside of the house because it's unsightly. And next thing you know, you're sitting in the living room one day and you see a crack going next to the window and you go, oh my gosh, where did that come from? Well, that is the time to get involved. I mean, I have seen some houses where the cracking is so bad, you could literally reach through the drywall and grab the studs of the house because the homeowner has waited so long.
Oh, my.
At that point in time, I mean, you are at the multi-$1,000 range, and then they're shocked. Well, it's like, you thought this was normal. It's not. And if you see these type of things, the best thing to do is call companies like us immediately and just get an understanding of what's going on with your home. Most people's homes are the largest investments they ever make in their entire life. So me personally, I think it's a good idea to protect that investment. Well, companies like us that offer free evaluations, why would you not call us just to get the information that you need to make an intelligent decision about protecting your most vital asset?
It totally makes sense. Obviously, the free evaluation, and then just to get some experts' eyes on the situation and find out what you're really dealing with. I don't know why you wouldn't go about that.
Right.
Remember, folks, we're talking with Matt Burns of Ecoscape Foundation. If you want to reach out to them, phone number 972-210-1494. That's 972-210-1494. Website, ecoscapefoundation.com. ecoscapefoundation.com. And we'll do one more question before we take a quick break here on Ask the Experts. Like I said, we're talking with Matt Burns of Ecoscape Foundation. And we kind of implied it a little bit, but let's build off of it. What will happen if they wait to fix this problem?
Well, we see a lot of customers that they call us and they go, oh, well, I'm going to wait till the spring or I'm going to wait till next year or something of the kind, right? Well, from what we see, that's a horrible idea.
Yeah.
Because what tends to happen is this problem is never going to fix itself naturally. It's never just going to go away if I sweep it under the rug. It will continue to get worse. I guarantee that. So over time, if it gets worse and worse and worse, what will happen? Well, I've seen some customers that physically cannot get their front or back door open because the foundation has moved so bad that it has actually jammed the door closed inside of the frame. I have seen customers that windows begin to break. Roof panels begin to separate and cause leaks. The primary one is plumbing. is when you start to have the slab move, it's going to move those pipes underneath the soil. Well, a pipe can only move so much before it breaks. And then at that point, the price of this is almost unfathomable.
Then you got a whole nother situation.
Oh my gosh, it gets ridiculous. I've seen some repairs where the foundation is the cheapest part of the whole repair, that the plumbing bill is over double what the foundation cost because the customer waited, and what ended up happening is it broke bathtub drains, shower drains, commode drains, you name it, it's breaking it. I've seen standpipes going up through the ceiling break because they've waited so long that now they have bathrooms they can't use because the pipes are completely broken and completely blocked.
And that's just one of the issues.
Oh, it's the most predominant issue. And to me, that's very important because what can tend to happen is if you have a sanitation issue like that and somehow your homeowner's insurance figures out, I mean, that's a big, big problem. On top of that, who wants a sanitation issue like that? So foundation repairs it's one of those things. We have to deal with it in North Texas. There's not really a surefire way around it. So what I don't want to deal with is added problems. So I have a foundation issue, and due to me not dealing with it, now I'm going to have a plumbing issue. Well, man, I'm going to get ahead of the curve, and I'm going to go ahead and get the foundation fixed before it causes a plumbing problem.
And, like you mentioned, this is a tendency because people want to save a little bit of money, maybe not have it, but then it becomes a bigger problem. So you're going to your money just went up double.
It's a snowball effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into a lot of good things I want to still get to because one being, can I sell my home? I really like that question. And then we'll talk about prevention and as well as, of course, if you are in this situation, you had to do a repair. A lot of people are curious to how long that takes. So we'll talk all that and more on the other side of things with Matt Burns of Ecoscape Foundation. Stay tuned. This is Ask the Experts here on Talk Radio 1190.
Ecoscape Foundation and Home Services is an expert foundation repair company offering home improvement services to Dallas-Fort Worth homeowners. Without the proper attention, foundation issues can cause extensive delays or derail what seem like the simplest of renovation projects. At Ecoscape, they can quickly diagnose and repair any type of foundation damage, often in as little as a few days. They offer a level of expertise that their competitors can't match, and they tackle any type or size of project for homeowners like you throughout the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And they stand behind their work with a no-nonsense limited lifetime warranty for your peace of mind. Don't settle for a foundation repair company that overpromises and underdelivers. Contact Ecoscape Foundation today and let them demonstrate why homeowners throughout the Dallas-Fort Worth area look to Ecoscape Foundation, where financing is available for home upgrades and foundation repairs, by calling them at 972-210-1494. Mention you heard this ad and receive $500 off your project.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. This is Ask the Experts here on Talk Radio 1190. We're talking with Matt Burns today of Ecoscape Foundation. Of course, we interview professionals here in the Dallas-Fort Worth on their area of expertise. 972-210-1494. That's 972-210-1494. That's the phone number you can reach them at if you have any questions. They'd love to hear from you, even if you just want to pick their brain a little bit. They'd be more than happy to talk to you. EcoscapeFoundation.com. That's EcoscapeFoundation.com. And Matt, let's roll right back into it. We got so much to cover. I kind of hinted to it before we took a break, but one I really wanted to talk about, and I'm sure this is common because maybe folks do not want to deal with this problem if it arises. The homeowner, can they sell their house instead of doing a foundation repair?
I see this a whole lot. We give the information to the homeowner. Well, I'm just going to sell and I'm going to walk away from this problem. I got bad news for you. That's not going to happen. In Texas, they've gotten to the point to where the title companies have realized that this is a major, major issue. And a lot of these home inspectors have now gotten to the point to where they can at least measure the foundation and determine, it's like, you need to call a foundation guy at that point. So when they do the Texas inspection, a lot of these title companies are requiring an independent foundation inspection. With the real estate market being what it is right now, super elevated, in my opinion, they're not wanting to authorize bad loans. So they're making sure that everything is on the up and up when it comes to the foundation. So they bring the Texas inspector in. He takes a couple of preliminary measurements. There is a minimum tolerance that homes have to be in the state of Texas. If it's outside of that tolerance, in their report they say recommended calling a foundation inspector. So then they call companies like us, or sometimes title companies will say, we want our own foundation inspection from the get-go. So once again, they call companies like us. So it's going to get found that you have a foundation problem somewhere in the sales process, and usually it's you're a couple of days from close, and you've got to get something figured out like right now. So not only do you have a foundation issue, you're now on the clock of getting this problem dealt with very fast, and that can cost you money. If the buyer backs out of the deal or whatever the case is, it can cost you a ton of money dealing with that or lose you the sale. So usually what I recommend to people is if you're going to put your home up for sale, always fix it first. And the number one reason is why is because if you have a foundation problem and it's known and the Texas inspector finds it, first of all, the bank is not going to finalize the loan. So you're not going to be able to get a loan. Now, if you had the cash, you could still buy that house, but you're going to have to give a hellacious discount because who wants to buy a broken house for full value? I mean, there's probably instances where it happens, but a lot of people don't have that kind of cash laying around. So they're going to have to borrow the money. So the best thing to do is before your house even goes on the market, get it fixed. We even have financing programs that allow you to not pay for anything up to a year, like 0 monthly payments.
Oh, that's a big one.
You can get the house on the market, get it sold, use the equity in your home, pay the loan off. Everybody's taken care of. You're doing the right thing by getting it fixed. The buyer is buying a home that is fixed, and the warranty's transferable. So it's all around doing the right thing. And I think that me personally, I would not want to sell a house that I knowingly knew had a foundation problem because that's just the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, and I think that kind of rolls right into where I wanted to go next. If you're in that situation, you're not sure how long this could take. What is the average time of foundation repairs? How long does that usually take? It's obviously quite the process.
It is. There's two different timelines to that question. The first one is, when can I get my installation crew there? Yeah. That is usually the long window. So I would say in the slow season, so to speak. I guess in this business, there's not really a definitive slow season. Yeah. But I would say right now we're probably 2 weeks away from starting a project. And it all depends on size and site requirements. So every single job is different. But on average, it's about 2 weeks before I can physically get to your project. And then once we're there, depending on the size, most jobs can be completed in 1 to 2 days. So for example, I've got my crew chief, Gilbert, on a project today in Plano. He'll be done by the time this radio show is over.
Very nice.
And he showed up at 7 o'clock this morning. It's a relatively small project. He did another one for us starting Wednesday. He was done by Thursday, and it was a commercial property that had a ton of moving parts. So realistically, the actual repair itself, by the time the crew shows up, is 1 to 2 days, if not faster. Very rarely does a project go beyond that 2-day mark. We'd have to be talking a astronomically large repair for it to go more than 2 days.
I was going to say those examples kind of put it in perspective, so I like that.
Right.
Now, before we kind of get back into the financing and a little bit of warranty talk, one of the most important question, in my opinion, to avoid this whole situation, what are some prevention? How can you prevent a foundation problem, Matt?
The first thing you can do is water. So everybody's kind of heard put the soaker hoses out. That's not just an urban myth. That is real.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that that's just snake oil. I can tell you right now that it's not. It's actually a condition of our warranty that even when we leave after foundation repair, that you water your foundation. So a lot of people say, well, what do? Just turn the sprinkler system on. The sprinkler system's better than nothing, but keep in mind that sprinkler system is not designed to water your foundation unless you have a dedicated zone for that, which 99% of systems do not have. They're designed to water the grass and the shrubbery and everything. So what I always like to see is get on Amazon or go to Home Depot or something, get some soaker hoses and a battery-powered timer. I don't know about you, but when I get home at the end of the day, I am not watering anything. I'm sitting on the couch and I'm watching TV before I go to bed. That's what I'm doing. So the battery-powered timer kind of takes the human element out of it. Set it and forget it as far as I'm concerned. People say, well, do I water all year around? Take it that with a grain of salt, I guess. Do we really need to water in the winter? No, especially with Texas winters when now it's freezing multiple times a year.
Yeah.
So what I always do is when the time changes back over to summertime, that's when I turn my system on, is I set it about a foot to a foot and a half away from the foundation, not right up on it, and I set the soaker hoses out and I let them run.
I'm assuming that's pretty key. Not right up on it.
Exactly.
You got a certain amount of distance.
Well, keep in mind, a lot of people put that hose directly on the foundation. And I guess, once again, that'd be better than nothing. But if we're really trying to get down to the nitty-gritty of what's going to work the best, we don't want to do that. Because everybody's seen in the summertime when it's 1,000,000 degrees, there's a gap between the concrete and the soil.
For sure, yeah.
Well, we don't know how deep that gap goes. Is it 2 or 3 inches or is it 2 or 3 feet? Well, unless you're going to get a shovel out there, there's no way to tell. So keep in mind, if you put water directly into a soil crack, you could accidentally be causing a subterranean standing water problem. So at that point, you're inducing a foundation issue. So 18 inches to 24 inches away from the foundation, and I would say in the heat of the summer, 3 times a week for 30 minutes.
That's key.
Now, keep in mind, that's not a surefire solution to this issue. It's just the information that we have right now. I would say in 30 years, we may have the ultimate solution, and companies like us won't exist. I hope not, but we may not. But until that time comes, we have to do just the best that we can. The other thing, too, is we go into a lot of homeowners and we start walking around the exterior of their house, and we start seeing bald spots in the grass. We're like, what's going on here with this? And we ask them, we go, oh, when it rains, it stands water there real bad. It's like, well, that's the other side of this coin, is standing water can also cause a problem. So the whole watering thing, it's a you do it and you don't type of thing. It's a very happy medium.
Yeah.
So too much water can cause a problem. Not enough amount of water causes a problem. The best thing to do is, if you have questions, is just to give us a call and we can recommend something to you.
And that number is 972-210-1494, 972-210-1494. We're talking with Matt Burns of EcoScape Foundation. Great to have him back in studio today. EcoScapeFoundation.com is the website. And we got a couple more questions. We got about 4 minutes left on the show, Matt. We'll kind of, obviously earlier we mentioned the price. It can range from $1,500 all the way up to $50,000. It's case by case. Every house is different. Of course, every foundation repair is going to be different.
Right.
If with the financial aspects of things, if somebody doesn't have the cash up front, you said you have some financing. Explain that to the folks.
Oh, financing is a key component of our business. So 10 years ago, if you weren't able to write a check or put $100 bills on the table, you're out of luck. Well, in today's marketplace, there's been so many lenders and so many different companies that have opened the door to customers to tell us, hey, we want your customers to be able to get these things fixed. We want to be able to offer a good product to them and let you guys be successful as well. So we exclusively work with Foundation Finance. They're a bank based out of Wisconsin. They have outstanding programs. Now, granted, everything is credit-based, so if you haven't paid your mortgage in 6 months, there's probably nothing I can do for you.
Yeah.
But in regards to if your credit is good, a lot of our customers qualify for 0% interest. So in my opinion, that's same as cash. So in regards to, well, I don't have the funds right now. I totally get that, especially with gas prices being ridiculously high right now. I understand that money's tight for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. If you could jump into my brain for a second and see what we see, it would scare you so bad that you're like, I'll finance anything any day of the week. To add, a product that a lot of customers don't know exists is called a HELOC. It's a home equity line of credit. Now, obviously, if you just purchased your home, then there's nothing you can do because unless you put a big down payment down, there is no equity. But somebody who's been in their house, let's say 15 years, there's a substantial amount of equity in it. Well, a HELOC, it's like a credit card that's attached to the equity in your home, and it goes underneath mortgage-style rates. So you could essentially take this foundation repair and get it done with a HELOC, and you're paying it out now for 15, 30 years, whatever your mortgage is set up as. On top of that, a lot of banks have kind of come to the table and understood that this is a big issue, and so they're allowing special provisions for a cash-out refinance. Back in the day, they would say, you got to get the foundation fixed because we've got to do all these things, all the red tape that banks have to deal with when it comes to loans. Well, if you write into that loan from the get-go that we are pulling this money out for foundation repair, then they go, okay, now we understand. And what they make you do is they'll make you get a couple of bids from companies like us. They don't want Joe Schmo fixing your foundation because they essentially owe money, or you owe money to them on it.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
want a reputable company that's going to stand behind a warranty in case there's problems. To add, they want a professional outfit that knows what they're doing.
All right, real quick, we got about a minute. Warranty. Is there a warranty? How long does that last? We'll wrap it up with that.
Well, I can only speak for our company, lifetime transferable. We
Perfect.
got a couple of terms and conditions, but what we see a lot is people say, well, the company I had do the work before is out of business. What does your warranty look like? And they say, can you just adjust theirs? I don't like adjusting my competition's piers because if it's already failed, there's a reason. So I like to install brand new piers. Why? Because I trust my installation crews. I trust my certified equipment. And why would you not want to warranty your stuff versus a competitor's that's already failed?
One more time, 972-210-1494. That's 972-210-1494. Website, ecoscapefoundation.com. That's ecoscapefoundation.com. Matt, great to have you back in. Look
Yes,
forward
sir.
to it again, man.
Good to see you.
Always a pleasure. It's been another edition of Ask the Experts here on Talk Radio 1190. We got a whole nother hour left. Ton of great shows still ahead, so stay tuned. This is Ask the Experts here on Talk Radio 1190. We'll be right back after a break at the top of the hour.